I'm Richard from Shootingrichard.com. I'm a producer and director, and I'm also the author of Thus to Innocence and In a World, How to Make Book Trailers That Sell More Books. Today we're going to talk about how to make book trailers that don't suck. Because, let's be honest, most of them do. Now maybe you don't know any more about making a book trailer than I do about performing neurosurgery in zero-G. That's okay, because today we're going to go over some of the basics so you can help me rid the world of abysmal book trailers. Let's get started. Most book trailers have a certain stigma. They're cheesy, they're boring, they're cheap looking, and all around they're generally awful. This is usually because they're made by authors who are not necessarily video people or marketing people, and they're under the assumption that they should be making a movie trailer, but for a book. This is wrong. You should not be trying to make a movie trailer for your book. That's because you're trying to sell a book, not a movie. Now this isn't just a semantic argument either. This is a psychological change I want you to make, because if you think about it, if you're trying to make a movie trailer, there's like one specific format. But if you're trying to make a commercial, all of a sudden there's a creative world that opens up to you. I mean, if they can come up with creative ways to sell the taste of gum on a TV screen, you can come up with a clever commercial for your book. There's so many different things you can do that the important thing is to remember this is not a movie trailer. People's attention spans are minuscule, especially on the internet. My recommendation would be to keep it under 2 minutes. I absolutely would not go above 3, and you get bonus points if you can keep it under 1 minute. Now, all good fiction trailers answer the same 3 questions. Number 1, who's the main character? This can be the good guy or the bad guy. Protagonist and antagonist for you proper folks. But this person must be compelling, and the audience should clearly know why we should root for or against them. Number 2, what does he or she want? Now this should be a goal, and it should be a specific goal. So something like save the world is pretty generic, and that's kind of boring. But if you get specific and you say save the world from space slugs using only toothpicks, you're much more specific and you're much more likely to pull in an audience. Number 3, what is standing in the way? This is either the conflict, the main opponent, or a combination of both. Now you can also make a really good book trailer for a nonfiction book. Things like histories, investigations, and biographies lend themselves to those 3 questions. But what if you're working on a book that is more like a coffee table book, or an art book, or a fossil classification book? Now, you can still make a really good book trailer, you just have to answer some kind of different questions. Number 1, what problem exists? This can be pretty universal, like poor education, or it can be pretty specific for a specific audience, like mothers who need to know how to educate their ADHD children. This can also be hard to find, but I promise you it's there. Number 2, how does this book propose to solve the problem? That's really gonna pull them in, and that's gonna be kind of the heart of your pitch. That's gonna be the heart of your trailer, is telling people you have this solution. Number 3, why is this book different from other books of its kind? What makes your book stand out, and why should somebody buy yours as opposed to all of the other ones? And number 4, what are the author's credentials? Do you know someone famous, or do you have access to a person or a place that other people can't get access to, and therefore you're the best person to be telling this story? Now the cool thing is, once you answer these questions in a clear, concise way, you not only have great book trailer fodder, but you have a great opportunity to use this to sharpen your marketing. Now the trick is to write it. And specifically for authors, the biggest, hardest thing to do is to write it and remember that it's a visual medium. It can't just be narration. This is why you should make a storyboard. It doesn't have to be super good, it can just be stick figures, but as long as you can account for what happens every second on screen for every word that you say. You also want to read it aloud and time it, and make sure that it comes in under 2 minutes. When writing your trailer, it's best to structure it in 3 parts: the hook, the build, and the boom. Now the hook is that initial image or soundbite that's going to really grab your audience. This should only be a couple seconds, but it should be enough to get someone who's scrolling by to go, oh, okay, I'm interested. And then you're gonna get to the meat of your trailer, which is what I call the build. This is the rising action. This is where you get across who your characters are, what they're doing, what they're struggling against, who your good guy is, who your bad guy is, all of that stuff. Now you're along for the ride and you're like, I must know, it's building, until boom, action or drama. This is the release of the tension. This is the part that makes you go, yeah! And then you cut to your end screen, call to action, you're out. Your book trailer should always end with what's called a call to action. This is a very simple instruction that people can take right that minute. Buy it now, sign up for the webinar, join the email listserv, because the fewer clicks from your trailer to buying your book, the more likely you are to sell that book. So now you're ready to shoot. And it doesn't matter how big or small your crew or your budget is, here are a couple tips that you can use when on set, when actually filming it, that will really come in handy. Use a decent camera. They're affordable, they're rentable, and maybe if you're in a pinch, ask a friend who has a DSLR and a couple lenses. If you're really in a pinch and you have to use your iPhone or something, at least turn it horizontal so you have the aspect ratio right. Pay attention to audio. Nothing ruins a video faster than crappy audio. Try to add smooth, natural camera angles into it. Now, you don't want to get shaky camera and make everybody sick, and you want to keep your hand off of the zoom. This is a pet peeve of mine. Your eyeballs don't zoom, your camera should not zoom. Pay attention to lighting and color. You want it to look cinematic. You want to use colors, textures, background images, and lights placed in places that make everything look better. Try to find soft light sources and try to avoid harsh sunlight and harsh shadows. Do your best to get a location that looks really cool, that has some texture, some color, some depth. Give your actors something to do, some kind of action. Even if it's just washing the dishes or walking from one side of the room to the other, it's gonna feel a lot more natural if your actors are moving, if they have purpose, as opposed to just standing talking to each other. Get extra footage, especially close-ups of little objects that don't have people in them. Some great trailers are actually composed entirely of these short little shots and don't have actors at all. Be safe and don't film people without their permission. Avoid brands and logos in your shot, including things on your character's shirts. Speaking of characters, some readers say they don't want to see a character's face in a marketing video. Now, this is because they prefer to imagine it. This is a point of some philosophical debate, but ways to get around this are you can shoot them in silhouette, you can shoot your characters from behind, you can shoot close-ups of their hands and their feet and their hair and their eyes, things like that, that will leave the overall look up to the reader's imagination. Remember, whatever you do, you want it to look good. This is because the quality of your video is going to influence the way people understand the quality of your writing. It's not fair, but it's true. If you are planning to hire people like actors, camera people, or narrators, it's best to know that they know what they're doing. This is particularly important for narrators. Unless you're a voice actor yourself, I suggest you find an actual professional narrator. This is going to increase your book trailer's production value tenfold. When hiring film professionals, you want to make sure that they have a portfolio or what's called a demo reel. If they don't have one or if they've never heard of one, that's a big red flag and you should be careful, especially if you're offering to pay them. I prefer to use Adobe Premiere and After Effects. I can also use Final Cut Pro and Avid. Those are kind of the three industry standard editing programs. There are also free editing programs, such as iMovie, which comes standard with most Macs, and I think PC has something similar. There's also things like Sony Vegas, I think DaVinci Resolve has a free version, GoPro has a free. But aside from the editing platform itself, there is some art to it. I would argue that music is the most important part of any book trailer or any marketing campaign, any commercial that you're gonna see. This is because music is the closest thing we have to an emotion that we can actually edit. What I mean by that is music reaches people in a way that no other medium can. For your purposes, the best places to get music if you can't get a composer are royalty-free sites. With a simple Google search, you can find thousands of websites that offer royalty-free music. Now, a sure sign of a pro is you'll want to edit your music track. What this means is that it starts at the beginning of the song and it ends at the end of the song. That way, it seems like the song is custom made for your book trailer. It's very amateurish to just have the song play and then just fade out whenever the book trailer is over. Now, when putting everything together in the edit, including your footage, your music, your narration, and your graphics, remember that hook, build, boom formula. Now, this is really important because you don't always have to cut on the music, and you don't always have to do what's called see and say, where the narrator says something and then you show it. You can get creative with it. By the end, you can watch it hundreds and hundreds of times, backwards and forwards, and you still get that initial rush. That's what you're really looking for, is you're looking to create an emotion. And if you, after seeing it hundreds of times, still feel a rush, then you know your audience is still gonna feel your rush. That's your best litmus test. If you want to use stock photos or stock video, you certainly can. Stock is very, very generic, and it can be expensive, especially if you're using a lot of stock. So only use stock where you have to. Graphics is a great way to make things look professional if done right. It's a great mark of an amateur if done wrong. So pay attention to the design. Any text and graphics you use should go along with the tone of your book. So if you can use that same font and that same color scheme, more than likely your graphics are gonna look great. The end screen is the last 5 to 10 seconds of any video. Most likely for you, for a book trailer, you want to have your book cover, your name, the title of the book, and probably your website or where people can go to get more information. Most importantly, you should have that call to action, clear and easy to find. Remember, the fewer clicks from your trailer to the website or from your trailer to buying, the more people are gonna actually buy it. Okay, so you've mixed everything together, you've edited it, and you're feeling pretty good, right? Now what I want you to do is I want you to share it with a friend or two who know nothing about your book. The reason I want you to do this is because you know your book. But when people see your trailer, they're not gonna know anything about your book. So you have to send it to people to test it, to make sure it makes sense to someone who knows nothing about your book or your story. So the first question you should ask is, did they get it? Also, it's important to let your audience know that this is a book that you're advertising for. There's nothing more frustrating than watching a great commercial and then being like, well, what the heck are they selling? Double check to make sure you haven't infringed on any copyright laws. This includes using songs without permission, using people's faces without permission, using corporate logos without permission. Make sure your trailer is as short as it can possibly be. And be sure that you've got that call to action at the end. That's the most important part because you want people to click and buy. Now, once all of your reviewers have approved of it and it's ready to go, I want you to post it. I suggest you post it on only one hosting site. So for instance, YouTube right here, right? That's because you want to link everything else to that one site. You don't want people going to all kinds of different pages just to see one trailer. Make sure that your thumbnail and your title are high quality, attention grabbing, and easy to find. If your YouTube video is titled something like my first trailer _ March 2015 _ version 2.3, it's unlikely that someone searching in the search bar is going to find it. What you want to do is you want to make your title match what people are going to be looking for. So, Stupid Little Brat by John Doe book trailer is going to be a whole lot easier to find even if someone can't remember precisely the name of your book. Your thumbnail should be equally enticing, but when in doubt, use your book cover. There is no set it and forget it when it comes to book trailer marketing and when it comes to marketing in general. You've really got to follow up and make sure that you're driving people to your book. Now, a book trailer is a great way to do this, but you want to make sure that people see your book trailer. So here's what you can do. You can post it to all of the social media sites that you have. That's Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, yada, yada, yada. You can put a link in your email signature. You can send it to your newsletter subscribers. You can send it to reviewers and bloggers and people who might be talking about your book and show it off to them. That'll garner some interest both for their site and obviously for your book. You can try to get it into other people's book newsletters. Now, there are big ones that you can pay for like BookBub and Library Thing But other things you can do is you can find local newsletters and websites and things that promote local authors, or maybe they want to talk about how to make a book trailer in general, and you can link to your own trailer. So what I mean by this is you can write articles or make behind the scenes videos or vlog or blog about the process of making your trailer, and in that people will be curious and they'll want to watch your trailer, and then ideally they'll go, oh, this looks like a pretty good book, click, I'm gonna buy. A book trailer is also really effective offline. So at any point of sale, such as a book conference, a writer speaking engagement, a book signing, a festival, anything like that, you can really grab passerby's attention just by having the video up there. They come in, they took a look, they watch it for about a minute, and they go, oh, this looks really good, I think I'm gonna buy one. Okay, so that's a lot, and I've really only just scratched the surface. So I'm gonna be posting more videos to this channel that really get into the specifics of each aspect of making a book trailer. Now, if you want to binge everything right now, you can go into the droppy downy thingy, and you can actually get my book, In a World, How to Make Book Trailers That Sell More Books. You can also sign up for the Shootingrichard newsletter, which will come at you every couple months or so, and it'll have deals, tips, tricks, and other fun bonus content, all related to the Shootingrichard world. Also, like and subscribe to see new videos when they come out. And finally, thank you for watching. I'll see you soon.